Welcome back to the Woodgrafter. Today's episode we're going to look at some gear that Sauter Shop has sent through to me so I can build my router table. That sounds good? Stick around. So if you're following the channel, you know I'm in the process of building a workbench, and I'm at the point now where I want to build a router table into this module here at the end of my bench. Now, a company called Sauter Shop got in touch with me and said, hey, you may not know our brand, but we do an awful lot of router components. In fact, that's what we're known for. Would you like us to send some of our products through so you can use those in your bench to see what you think? And who was I to say no? So what we're going to focus on in the next 3 series, so another mini series, is building a router bench. Today, we're going to look at the gear that Sauter Shop kindly sent through. Next episode, we're actually going to build the router table into this module of my workshop. And then the final episode, we're going to put it through its paces by building a small project. On paper, it looks really, really good, but that should let us know whether it's actually worth our investment. Full disclosure, Sauter Shop have sent me all this gear free of charge, but it's only on loan. If I don't want this in my shop, I box it up, they pick it up and they take it away and I'll never see it again. Obviously, if I like the gear and it's good enough to be in the Woodgrafter workshop, I've got the option to buy that. So Sauter Shop, thank you so much for sending the gear forward. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in what we're going to talk about. Now, before we get into looking at the gear, let's talk a little bit about Sauter. Sautershop.com is their website. Now, that's a UK website. They're actually a German company and they're a German manufacturer and a German retailer. They started off as a retailer selling into the trade. They then went online, got more and more brands behind it, and now they're manufacturing their own brands and a retailer of note inside Germany. You're going to see the Sauter brand more and more and more with my friends here in YouTube. I know Peter Millard recently reviewed one of their MFT benches. I'll leave a link to his video, and I believe Stu over at Bish Bash Bosh has also got some of their products. Not sure he's released a video yet, but once I see it, I'll also drop a link into Stu's video as well, and you can start to see what we think about the Sauter brand. As I say, Sauter is a German company and they've had their online presence for many years, and it's got a fantastic reputation for customer quality, customer loyalty, repeat orders. They really are a solid brand. And now they've translated their entire German website into an English website, and now we can get our hands on their products as well, which is actually fantastic. Personal view, the more choice that we have inside our hobby, inside our industry, the better off we are. And videos like this one that allows us to understand the quality of those products, are they good, are they bad, are they worth you looking at, I think help an awful lot. So I'm really excited to see Sauter Shop coming into the marketplace. Check out their website, sautershop.com. I'll leave a link here and see what you think. So with that said, let's have a look at what we've got in the shop. So I've already got 4 layouts here. I've got a router lift, which I'm really excited about, and we'll review that shortly. I've got a spindle router here, a fixed spindle router motor that obviously goes inside our lift, and we're looking at that in more detail as well. I've got a router fence that looks quite exciting, we'll look at that. And then I've got some accessories that's either going to help me to power this or to install it or to use it safely, and we'll look at that accessories as well. Where I want to start is by looking at the router lift. Now, the router lift that I've got is known as the OFL3.0K, and we'll explain what that means in a second. Now, Sauter do a range of router lifts that pretty much cover any budget and any need inside your workshop. We'll talk specifically about the one I've got in a second, which is the top of the range one, but let's look at the others in the list. Now, no matter which ones you get in the range, they all have some common features inside them. They're all made of this really high quality, high precision aluminium. They've all got this scale here, this linear scale down the sides. It looks like it's calibrated in millimeters, that just allows you to line fences up and things in relationship to your router. They've all got this router lift here that just uses the supplied wrench to raise that, and a full rotation of this gives you 4 millimeters. So a quarter rotation is 1 millimeter and obviously that's then subdivided, so you can do a lot of tuning in this of about 0.1 millimeter, and I'm hoping that's going to be as precise as it says. It locks down so there's no movement inside this when you're using it. The lift itself is a threaded lift here, and that's pretty precise, and the underframe of this is also high quality cast in aluminium. So the difference you get in the range are really the features that the router comes with. The bottom of the range starts off with the OFL 1.0. You're still going to get this nice aluminium base, you're still going to get the markings, you're still going to get the mounting gear, you're still going to get all these adjustable grub screws around the outside so you can level it inside your bench. You still get the lift and you still get the lock on the lift, and you still get the high precision aluminium crafting underneath here. On the OFL1 you just get standard inserts here, the standard plastic inserts that just clip inside there and lock. The OFL2 is the next one up in the range. Exactly the same again. You get your nice aluminium base, you get your markings, you get your fixing point, your adjustability, your router lift, your router lock, solid aluminium base, but now you've moved up a level in terms of these insert plates. They now come as metal and they're magnetic, and they just slot into place quickly and easily like that inside your router. When you get to the OFL3, this one here, you obviously get, well, everything you see here. You get that nice aluminium insert, you get the calibrated gauge, you get your high precision lift, your lock, you get your magnetic plate, and you also get some really unique features that your router will tilt. You can undo these black levers here on the side, and your base and your router will now actually tip inside the router, and it goes from -5 all the way through to 45 degrees, and it's got some stops inside there along the way, the typical stops that you would see: 22.5, 30, 45 and 90 degree. Now what that means is you're changing the angle of the router bit to your flat face, so 45 degrees all the way through to 90, actually -5 degrees. Now that gives your router table a lot of versatility. Just by changing the angle of the router bit to the router table gives us some more flexibility about what a router table can do, and we'll put that through its paces down the line. So that's the range: the OFL1, the OFL2 and the OFL3. Now all of these come in a standard size that will fit into most commercially built router tables. And also you can get, in the OFL2 and the OFL3, you can get a K version, which means that it also comes in this Craig configuration here. So this will drop into any Craig bench. Because I'm building my own, doesn't really matter what size the table is, but I went for the Craig because that's smaller than the standard one. So if I don't like this gear, I can send it back and I can just reroute out the insert on my tabletop and nothing's lost. So I've gone for the slightly smaller size of the Craig, but the features are exactly the same. The OFL1 just comes in the standard configuration. There's no Craig configuration with that. Now the OFL1 and the OFL2 will take a whole range of your standard plunge type routers, such as the Festool OF1400. They will take the Bosch router range, Castles, DeWalt, Elu, Festool, Freud, Mafel, Makita, Paris, Trend, Worth, and they'll also take custom. So you can actually drill the plate out for this, and using threads you can put your own router inside there, or you can actually provide a service for about €68 where Sauter Shop will actually drill for you for your router and then ship that out for you ready to go. So a whole range of this type of router will sit inside here. The OFL3 is different. It's an industrial level router lift, and you can see here it's just got this plate in the middle. That's a 43mm fitting, and that's designed to take a spindle of some sort with a 43mm collet here, or a neck on your spindle. So any router spindle that's got a 43mm on this will fit inside this router table for the OFL-K3. 43mm is industry standard. So when you buy a CNC machine, you're putting your spindle inside there, it's 43mm. So you've got a lot of versatility about what you put inside here. Now obviously the 43mm fitting is not going to take something like your Festool router. But that's okay, because what I'm looking for in my shop is something that's always ready to go. I've not got to mess around changing routers. It's always in place and it's always ready to go. You might be in a different situation, and if you want to use your standard plunge router and take it in and out, then the OFL1, the OFL2 is for you. You can get an adapter plate for the OFL1 and the OFL2 where it will actually take a spindle router if you wish to do so. The other addition that you get on the OFL3 are these red handles here. They allow me to actually move this entire mechanism backwards and forwards, and that means I can fine-tune the position of my router inside the opening, so I can really center that down and adjust it. Once I've got it calibrated, there's a small locking screw here that runs through the frame that just simply locks that into position so I can quickly find center again. So I can tilt this one, and I can also slide it backwards and forwards, and it takes a very high quality, high-end spindle. Not a bad sort of configuration. So in a nutshell, that's it. That's your overall range. No matter which one you buy, it comes with some goodies. It comes with a wrench that allows you to adjust the height of this and also to lock it down. It comes with a bag of fixing bolts, and it comes with a selection of insert plates. And again, depending which one you purchase, the plates will be different. These are obviously elongated because this router tips. If that was the OFL2, then the one that didn't tip, these would obviously just be different size inserts. You also get this little grey cover here. Now this is a safety plate, so once you've got it in your table, you mount that in the front there, and that just stops you accidentally grabbing hold of a spinning router bit. Not that we would ever want to do that. Now, it comes with quite a high quality manual here. The problem is, it comes in German. So if you're fluent in German, or you can read German well enough, which I'm not fluent, but I can read German well enough to use that, then you're in good shape. But if you can't read German, you may think you have a problem. And I spoke to Sauter Shop about this. I said, look, if you're really serious about bringing your products into the English market, supplying it with a German manual may not be the best choice. And they said, don't worry, we have an English version of the manual. At the moment, if you were to order that or any of that range from the store, on your invoice there'll be a link to a PDF file that's an English translation of that same manual. And when I was talking to them, the ambition is that that's going to get printed out. They've already got the print production in flight, and inside the box will come the English translation of the manual as well. The translation is really high quality. Somebody who actually speaks English has translated this, and I'm sure if you've seen translated manuals in the past, you know exactly what I mean by that. But somebody who actually understands English has translated this, and it's a high quality manual, and that's what we'll be using when we come to calibrate and set this thing up. Now let's talk about the price range of this. The OFL1, which is the basic model, you still get the lift, you still get the precision, you still get the access to all those routers that we spoke about, and it's just got the manual inserts for the lift. That's going to come in about 330 euros. This video, November 2020. 330 is about £296. Don't panic, don't disengage just yet, because I'm going to give you some comparisons about other router lifts on the market so you can see whether that's value or not. The next level up, the OFL2, is about 388 euros, which is about £348. The addition to the stuff you get in the OFL1 are those magnetic plates, those magnetic inserts. The top of the heap, the OFL3, is 583 euros, and that's £524. And don't forget, on the OFL3, you've also got the magnetic plates, but in addition, your angle can change on that router, and also you can change the position in reference to the center point of your bench. Now, a good comparison to the OFL1 is actually the Craig router lift, and that comes in at £330. So £296 versus £330, your OFL1 is actually better value than a comparable Craig lift on the marketplace today. The OFL2, the equivalent to the OFL2, is something like the Incra router lift. Now, it was the Incra router lift I was going to go for if Sauter Shop hadn't have got in touch with me. So I know the Incra products incredibly well, as you know if you're a friend of the channel. The Incra router lift will be £469. And when I look at the OFL2, which is comparable to the Incra, that compares to £348 for the OFL2. So 469 versus 348. Again, these are incredible value. Now, there's nothing on the market that compares with the OFL3. This is the only router lift that's got that angle adjustment mechanism, and that could be a good or a bad, depending whether that's valuable or not. And we'll see that as we put it through its paces. So, early opinion says that looks good. It feels so solid. It feels such quality. And I've played with it, you know, and adjusted it and moved it back into, put the router in, took the router out, and it's great. It's a really solid piece of well-engineered kit, and I'm really quite excited to put it through its paces. And when you contrast it with what's in the marketplace, the value is really good as well. So early indication on the router lift, fantastic, excellent stuff. So now we've had a look at the router table, the next thing is let's look at that router spindle I'm going to put in the router table. So the router that we've got is a Suhner, S-U-H-N-E-R, and we'll talk about the range of these in a second. Again, if that's a brand you're not familiar with, it's another German brand, and it's well on a par with the Mefel type products if you're familiar with that brand. It's a top-end router spindle. This is not your entry-level stuff that we're looking at. Now this comes in 4 versions, and this is again the most powerful one, top of the range that they do. But they also do a 500 watt version of this. They do a 1050 watt version of this. They do a 1500 watt version of this, and they do an 1800 watt version of this, and that's this beast here. Now all of them come with a standard 43mm collet here, which is fantastic because that's what we're going to use inside our router. And they all come with interchangeable collets that you can buy obviously from the Sauter shop. Now all of them are variable speed using this volume button here, quiet to loud, and all of them come with a simple on-off switch, so this is always on, which is something we need to talk about, safety feature, in a second. The 500 watt one is going to give you 3,500 to 30,000 revs per minute. That makes it incredibly good for smaller router bits. In terms of length, it's quite small. It comes in at 246, so it's going to come to about there, so it's about that long, so a lot shorter than this big one, and it will weigh about 1.5 kilograms. So if you want a smaller spindle, high quality smaller spindle, because you're not doing big large cabinetry type work, that's a really good one to have a look at. Next one up is the 1050 watt one. It comes with speeds from 3,500 up to 25,000 RPM. Again, it's a 43mm neck, it gets a range of collets. Bit heavier, it'll come in at 2.7 kilograms, and its overall length is about 260mm, which is going to take you to that sort of length on your router. So again, considerably smaller than this one. Now the next one up, the 1500 watt one, that's going to give you a good range of 3,500 to 30,000 RPM, so the same speed interestingly as the smaller one. Again, you've got the 43mm neck, and again you get a good range of collets. That one would weigh 2.85 kilograms, so we're getting quite a bit of weight now, and the length is 288mm, which is roughly about there. So that sort of length overall compared with this beast here. And then you get the daddy of the bunch, the 1800 watt. This particular one comes with a speed range of 2,500 to 23,000 RPM, so considerably slower at that top end, but 23,000 RPM is still good enough for smaller routers, so it will still give me a good finish with smaller routers. But the 2,500 is a slow speed, and that's fantastic for large bore routers. And think about the horsepower behind this, or the wattage behind this thing. That's fantastic for things like raised panels and some really heavy duty timber framing work, which isn't now and then something I do in the workshop, so that's why I want this big beast. It comes with a larger range of collets. I can still get the smaller collets, the 3mm, the 4mm, the 5, the 6 and the 8 and the 10, but I can also get 12mm collets in this one. Again, 1/4 inch, 1/8 and 3/8, but also a 1/2 inch collet inside this one. This is a beast. This thing weighs 4.8 kilograms. And I tell you, you know you've got some weight inside that. I think a few curls of those and my weak old man body would give out. So it's a beast. There's a lot of weight inside that. And bear that in mind. If you're going to walk into the 1800, think about that. It comes in a long length and it's heavy, so the router table that you build has got to allow for that. Now the router lift that we saw before, the OFL3, is designed to take that router, so it does work pretty well. No matter which one you get, you're going to get a bag of bits, you're going to get an instruction book, and surprise surprise, it's in German. And you're going to get a couple of spanners. Now there's no thrills on this, it doesn't adjust, it doesn't plunge, it's the router lift that takes it up and down and sets the height. And the 2 spanners are obviously for changing the bit that you can do from above the table. It will always lock on, It's either on or it's either off. There's no other alternative. And this particular one came with a European plug. So again, a quick conversation with my friends at Sauter Store said, look, hold on a minute. Once again, if you're going to come into the English market, it's great if you're sending that across Europe, but if you're doing it to the UK or over to the Americas, you need to think about that carefully. Now, this is a 240 volt machine, so it's great in Europe, great in the UK, great anywhere that's got 240 volts, probably not so good in the US where you've got 110 as standard. So this is probably not going to cut it for you if you're over in the US. Now, obviously, I could cut the plug off and I could put a UK 13 amp plug on there. The minute I do that, I void the warranty. So therefore, that's not something I want to do. Now again, because they're relatively new to the UK space, they are going to create one of these. It will have the 13 amp plug inside it. So when you actually order one moving forward, specify you need the UK plug and that will come ready fitted. Obviously mine's got a Euro plug in it and I'm not going to cut it off. And again, the manual comes in German. But once you order this, you'll get access to the PDF file, which is the English translation. It's a quality translation, once again, the way that we saw before, so that's not so much as an issue. Let's look at the price point. The smaller one of this, the 500 watt, is €253, about £227. The 1000 watt one is about €310, about £278. The 1500 one is €359, roughly £322, and this beast is €515, £463. So again, there's a range there that you will choose against your needs. I've gone to the top one because I like to do a lot of raised panel joinery in my work, a lot of frameworks inside there, but I also want to be able to do some fine work. This has got the promise of doing that. We will see when we put it through its paces. Now, as we've already said, this is just on or it's off. So if I was to plug this into the mains, that will always be on, and obviously that's not what I want. So I've ordered an additional safety switch, and actually I ordered one with the Euro socket on it. So I've solved my problem pretty quickly inside there, so I can just go directly into the Euro socket, which is actually neater than the UK plug anyway, so I'm good to go. But this is important because this gives you the on-off facility. This will be mounted on the front of the bench somewhere when we come to build it. Stop, start, stop, start. That gives me the safety feature. So when you buy this, you're going to need something like this type of safety switch to actually put in line in that sort of configuration. So to bring all this together, I just ordered some accessories. The first thing I ordered was this frame, because this is going to go into Velcro mat, which is a super hard material, but I still want to be able to give that some additional support. So I've ordered this metal frame. These come in a variety of sizes depending on the router lift that you're buying. Metal frame, I route inside, that goes in the inserts, and then the adjusting screws on this one push down onto this metal frame, keeps everything level and firm. I think that's well worth buying. I also bought a mounting kit, which basically are 4 corners that you screw to the underside of your bench, and then this can just bolt directly into here. Now that's useful because that means I can do everything from above the bench. If I want to take this router lift out for maintenance, I can do it from above the bench. I've not got to get down my hands and knees underneath there. And once I get this bench completed with the tool cabinet that's going to go underneath and the tool shelf that's going to go here, it's going to be hard to access. So it was important to me to get that top mounting facility, and that solves that problem incredibly well. And that comes with a small bag of bolts. All the router lifts also come with this threaded hole here, and that threaded hole is so you can do freehand routing. And there's a nice accessory here that gives you a little bar that just threads in there, nice and simple as you can see, and then it got an adjustable safety guard on there so you can crack on and do your freehand routing. So I just bought a few accessories, and the final accessory I bought was this cute little handle. You don't need it because the kit does come with this adjusting wrench here, and that adjusting wrench is to adjust the height and lock this off. But I just like the idea of a smaller handle, something that's more compact, that can just come inside here, and then I can just quickly and carefully adjust this little handle, and then when I'm ready and I'm at the right height, I can just lock it down with that handle as well. So I just thought that was useful. You don't need that one, but it's just so cute. How could you not buy it? Now the final thing is the fence. Now it may surprise you that I've ordered a fence with this one because I've got the Incra fence, and that's not going away. I'm going to mount my Incra fence on here, and it gives me a lot of ability to actually do the joinery I tend to do with the Incra fence. But I also want to put a fence here that will slide into the table so I can really take advantage of that angle. So I spoke to Sauter Store and said, hey, you know, what fence would you recommend? This is what's known as their universal fence. Now this is a solid one-piece aluminium extrusion, which is really quite heavy. It comes with these rather nice sacrificial fences that just screw on there, and you can see it gives you a split fence option so they can slide back in two, and that's going to give you a working position of 710 all the way through to 770 in that open position. So that's quite a lot of movement inside there. It also comes with these little bars, and if you don't know what those bars are for, you can add that into one of these slots here. So you can put one inside there, get the right slots, one inside there, and that will just step this fence forward ever so slightly, giving you an offset between this fence and this fence, and that actually turns the fence into a jointer system, which is quite useful as well, I think. So in its higher setting, that's going to give you an offset of about 2.3 millimeters, and in its lower setting, that will give you an offset of 1.2 millimeters. And don't forget, these aren't fixed down, so there's all sorts of errors in that, but roughly 1 millimeter and about 2 millimeter of offset. So that 1 millimeter offset actually will give us quite a lot of fine tuning in that jointing configuration. Now what I was excited to see here was this groove at the top, which is a standard T-track groove, and that allows me to add a variety of accessories, either shop-made fences, jigs, or something I've been missing on my other router table, featherboards. So I can now put something like my Jessam featherboard on here, and I get a lot of depth of cut on that from that configuration. So I can actually start to work on stock and still use featherboards about 60 millimeters. So that's a lot of clearance between that board and the base. Really generous. So I was really quite pleased to see that. Excellent use. But what I'm not so happy to see is these supplied boards are slightly thicker than that fence there. So that will now foul inside my fence system. So I need to find a way of offsetting this, or more likely I'll probably just make a couple of MDF inserts to give me that same fence functionality but still allow this to function. So great design, and an oops design, I think, there. Great that I've got the channel, great that it will take a standard size. Sad that the inserts are slightly thicker than that channel, so it fouls on whatever I put into that level. Disappointing, but hey ho, I can fix that, I think. It also comes with a bag of bits, and inside our bag of bits we get a dust guard that fastens onto the back like so, and that's a 57 from memory millimeter hole. And then finally it comes with a safety guard that fits onto the front using this top rail, and that can simply slide up and down to allow for your material. Now interesting again, because that clamps that top rail, it will foul onto this, so not so good if you want to do really tight close work inside that system. So to me, so far, I might be wrong when we build this thing, they are about 2 millimeters too thick of being perfect, but we can fix that. It's not a challenge to us. So I'm going to build my router table out of part of the range that we've seen today, and in my case it's the top of all of that range. So I'm using the OFL 3, the Suhner 23, the big router piece. I'm using the universal fence, the leveling frame, the hand crank, and the routing guard, and the total cost of that will be €1,292. That's about 1,161. That might sound like a lot, But the CMS I've been using to date was more to £1,800, and I'm going to get a better functionality, I think, out of this system. Now, I think there's a few teething troubles as Sauter Shop come into the English market. Obviously, having a Euro plug on that is something that's a challenge, but they've committed to fix that, and it should ship with the appropriate socket. The manual's coming in German, and you have to go and download and print out the PDF stuff for your equipment. They've committed to fix that, and you should get the English manuals in the kit if you were to order it. And then the niggles so far, and we'll reserve judgment, is that these fences are just a little bit too fat to get perfect use out of this front rail here. But we'll reserve judgment on that and see what we think when we've got the thing installed. There may be some spacers that I don't know about yet that solve that very problem. So that's it for today. I wanted to share with you what we had. I wanted to introduce the Sauter Shop brand to you. Take a look at their website, sautershop.com. If you do decide to purchase anything at checkout, when you've got the screen there, put a note in there saying that the Woodgrafter recommended you. I get nothing for that. I get no commission or kickback on anything that these guys sell, but you will get a free gift. When I did that, I got a rather nice Sauter Shop wooden ruler, and I also got a rather nice workshop thermal cup that doesn't break when I drop it, which was nice as well. So don't forget to put the Woodgrafter recommended you in the comments, and you may get some free goodies with your purchase. That's it for today. So in the next episode, we are going to build the router table. We're going to get this inserted and build our router table ready for a project build that will then put it through its paces. Let me know what you think so far. Are you interested? Are you excited? Is it great to see a new brand in our industry for us? See you soon.